Hello, everybody. Welcome to Two Rivers Tuesday. This is our podcast where we usually continue the conversation from Sunday's sermon, and it's usually John and I, but today is a special episode because I have some dear friends here with me from very far away, and hopefully you all will have met them on Sunday, and you'll be listening to this on Tuesday, but we're here on Friday recording it, so we're all over the place, but I'm so excited for you guys to get to know them even more, so I'm going to let them tell you about themselves. Here is Jake and Emily, and they're going to start off by telling us about when they came to know Jesus.
All right, yeah. Well, I grew up in a Christian home, but my parents got divorced and it got a little wonky there. And I'm maybe middle school, just kind of really walked away from anything with Jesus. And then about high school, again, short story, but I saw this girl. She had a headband on, and I was like, hey. And she was a freshman, I was a junior, and right? Yeah. And she was like, you should come to this thing at church. And I was like, all right, I'm gonna come. And then, one thing kind of led to another. We're at church or whatever, and she really loved Jesus. So I realized that, I didn't really have any opportunity with her. And then time kind of went on and we got to know each other more. And I remember a season where, some people can think of a specific date where they believed in Jesus. I can't really do that. Maybe it was over the course of 6 months or something. I don't know. But there was this transition in my life where I started to realize I want to be a good person, but I have no shot at that. And I remember being like, I don't want to do this stuff. And conversations I would have with my friends, and they're like, yeah, whatever, But then, I remember hearing the gospel at, youth and realizing, okay, it was for this reason, Jesus became my sin and I can believe on him and get counted as holy, So I realized that at some point and just kind of, just spiraled into control with him, that's kind of how my story goes from around 11th grade. So.
And that's around when I met you.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I had already known you, so tell us a little bit of your story.
Yes. I also grew up in a Christian home, but viewed the gospel from a little bit more of a legalistic lens. And it was very, oh no, I messed up. I need to do these good works to be right with God again. And so there was a little season in middle school where I would cuss or I would, do it. And I'm like, I need to read my Bible for 2 hours straight and God will love me again. And so really wrestled with that. And then my freshman year at youth, I met you, or we knew each other from childhood, but reconnected with you. And you were like, come to my small group. And you just scooped me up under your wing. And it was through that season of getting plugged in with community, with friends who also love Jesus, that I really formed a relationship where I understood the gospel and I had friends who understood the gospel and we were all pursuing him together. And it was around that time I met Jake, and God just provided us with such a sweet community of friends that really loved Jesus and still had so much fun. We just had the best high school years of being so silly and having the best time and doing it all in such a God-honoring way. Yes. And so, and it was around that time I went to India for the first time, around that time that we wanted to get married young. And yeah,
I was about to say, I feel like you felt called to be a missionary really young. I can remember baby Emily sitting in my living room and you told us that. And I remember so specifically where you're sitting and when you just told all of us I'm going to be a missionary. Yeah. And I was like, cool, great. And it's that's such a great desire, but you guys really did it. You guys really got married when you were 18, you were
19 and 21.
Okay, 19 and 21. And then you guys moved to South Asia and you've been there for the last 10, 11 years.
10 years.
Okay, so
married 11 in India for 10.
Okay. So give us a preview, a snapshot of what the last 10 years have been like.
Yes, I have been given this task.
To summarize 10 years.
Summary.
That's right.
Okay, so The connections we had in India originally stemmed from my 2-month trip when I was 17 with some friends traveling all around the country. And we did a couple different types of ministries and 8 different locations. And I fell in love with an orphanage in a village. And I came back home from that trip. We're talking about how we desired to get married, but my parents are still thinking we're too young. And so I'm like, I want to go back to that orphanage and volunteer for as long as my parents will let me. And so I went back for 4 months. And it was during that time, again, we're wrestling with like, okay, we want to get married. And we both feel called to ministry. He wasn't necessarily on board with India yet at that time. So I came back from that 4-month trip and kind of surrendered the long-term India plan in like, okay, I feel first called to marry him. Mm-hmm. And we weren't engaged yet. He had the opportunity to go to India for 2 weeks. And he came back, and the day he came back, he proposed and was like, let's do this India thing. Wow. Like, I'm sold. So that's kind of the beginning. And then when we ended up, we were married 1.5 years before we moved. And we reconnected with some of the connections I had from my 2-month traveling trip. And the Lord just really provided a good first year for us to learn language. We had a foundation of Hindi by the end of our first year. A couple of people a couple pastors we felt really connected with were branching off and starting their own ministries in the village right around the time we were looking for people to partner with. Mm-hmm. And so the timing was just perfect for us to kind of step in and support them and partner with them. Looking back now, I'm like, we were 22 years old. Like, what were we doing? Just absolutely no idea. And I feel like all of our 10 years is marked with, we have no idea what we're doing. Lord, he just opened every door at the right time, provided the right people, gave the right connections. And yeah, so we got a lot of really good connections our first year. And then when we realized, okay, to stay in country long term, we need a business and we need to kind of live in a bigger city and blend in a little bit more. So that's when we moved to the city, stayed connected to our village partners, and we got involved in some orphanages, and we're still really close to some of the kids who have aged out of those children's homes. Mm-hmm. And we do life with them currently. We have a house church in our city, and we have been involved in some coffee shops, a lot of discipleship opportunities within just networking with other organizations, other missionaries in the area. And yeah, the Lord's just provided 10 years of kind of having our hands in a lot of different things. Mm-hmm. And we've really seen it, wouldn't you say, come together. There's so many different people in our house fellowship from different phases of life in that 10 years, you know? Yeah. And then we've recently opened a school in the city, which is really exciting. The original reason why we opened a school was to meet the educational needs of our children. Mm-hmm. And then we found a model of education we really love, realized that there's no model of education like that in our city, and thought, well, we might as well try to bring something the city doesn't have. It'll bless our kids, the other families in the city who are interested, kind of have something we can leave that's lasting product. So it checked a lot of boxes as well. Yeah. That kind of sums. There's a million things I could have said.
Yeah, no, that's great. I feel like where you guys are at now is just the culmination of all that you have learned over the last 10 years. And I really admired y'all's willingness to like pivot and to do missions and ministry there in a way that fits the people and the place that you're at. Because talk a little bit about how like sometimes it can be tempting to just come from America and feel like I'm going to bring my like American version of how I think things should go, and I'm going to try to do that here. Yeah. Talk about like why that doesn't work where you're at and what you've had to learn about making it work for where you are at. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yeah. You're wrestling with that right now, actually, still.
Yeah, actually, like theologically with how we do church, I've just been kind of like for a small example, like when Christianity first came to India, or in where we're, say it again, when Christianity first kind of arrived in this area, there was
I said India like 20 times,
deep,
so I think we can stick with
okay,
India.
right
India's
on.
staying in the podcast.
Right, okay. There was like a deep connection to the British and their rule. And so the way and the style that they were bringing things was really like messy. Like there was a lot of not so good things involved in that. And it kind of made for, like, for example, the way that Christians today do their marriage, it's like copy paste from American culture. But, you know, our friends took us to a wedding, paid for all of our expenses to go to this other city, to go to this wedding, 4 days.
For a Hindu wedding, specifically.
Yeah, for a Hindu wedding.
Not a Christian wedding.
And everything was so spiritually intermingled. Again, it was beautiful, and it's off because it's, you know, it's pagan.
Yeah.
But like seeing how the whole family plays this role, and visitors are invited, you know, to be a part of it and celebrate, and the hospitality, the beauty, the dress, 4 different dresses for one day.
Yeah, and isn't it like over multiple days?
Yeah, and
Yeah,
like
4 days.
and they had
Okay.
an outfit for me for like everything. You know?
Yeah.
And so like so beautiful.
Yeah.
And then you look at, and other Indians look at the way Christians have, you know, done their weddings now, and it's copy paste American culture, and it's like so ugly compared to, you know, and you can kind of put that on how the church does a lot of things that they do there. The average church that you can find there, it's like, man, this is so void of anything being redeemed from the culture around them.
Okay.
And it's messy though, because everything is so connected to some kind of ritual.
Specifically in
with-
India.
Yes.
Every aspect of the culture is
worship.
Hindu.
It's worship.
Yes.
Yeah.
The way you sweep your floors, the way that you shop at the market, the way that you buy your car and take it to the temple to get it dedicated by the priest. I mean, there's no aspect of their life that isn't touched by Hinduism.
Yes.
So then it's, for a Christian, it's like, well, then I can't do anything I've ever done. Like, it's very hard to know how to redeem, as you were saying.
Yeah.
So it's an ongoing, long conversation. We're about to go in a really good study with it, you know, but how that connects. So the original question was how that connects to
Even
how
just
we
our
do stuff.
pivoting and how
Yeah.
we
Yeah, kind of
have to be
like
willing
just
to pivot.
realizing that, like learning through our failure, like,
Yes.
okay, all right, we're not going to learn language in this place. All right, so we got to go to the next place. Where do we go? Well, let's ask somebody. And then, you know, just kind of cycling through different ways that, like, oh, I don't feel good enough. I don't feel like I have anything to offer. Jeez. And just being miserable and being like, Lord, I'm here, but what is going on? Like, everything seems like I'm not really offering anything. And the reality is, like, for a long time, to assimilate to a certain degree, to be able to understand and, like, exegete culture or whatever the word is, like understand how to really make it make sense to people, it's like it takes 10 years unless you're, you know, whoever can do it sooner, you know, but like it's just been, but I like you were saying earlier, I think that maybe it took this long and where we've been to be at this place now where we've got a lot to offer
And
for transformation.
Yes, yeah,
for
because
gospel transformation.
you are not just trying to take an American way of doing everything and force it on these people who have no context or value for that. You have like taken the time to humbly like learn and see how they view everything. Like you guys now know fully like their lens for how they will interpret everything, how they view the world, how they view everything, and now you can like help them see how the gospel changes all of that. But I just love y'all's like willingness to learn those things and to try to help like redeem their culture and like let them still be Indians instead of trying to force them to do Christianity the way you have seen it done here, because it's just such different places. And you guys have talked about how you have seen like missionaries come and go when they try to do that. Like it's really frustrating and it doesn't last and it doesn't work to just try to like copy and paste American Christianity to Indian Christianity.
And it just really does a disservice too, because like God made them Indian. And like God made Indian culture.
Yes.
And he loves the vast richness of the culture and the beauty and the dedication. Like they are the most devoted worshipers I have ever been around. And it's just like, we just need to pivot what you're worshiping, you know? And you do such a disservice to even like the way that Indian culture reflects the character of God. Like I've heard an example used kind of like a diamond, like at each angle you can see its different like beauty and its shine, and how each culture in a way like reflects God in a unique way. So then when you just come and try to make Indian things American, you just totally strip the beauty of the character of God you see in that culture. Versus like, you know, just throwing it away instead of trying to pull it out and redeem it and see it.
Yes. Yeah, I love that. And what have you guys learned about like how to disciple someone there? Because it truly isn't, because they have zero context, zero framework, zero like understanding of morality, like how we view it.
Right.
Like when you share the gospel with them, it can't be, I mean, there's a sense in which you can trust God to do the rest. But like, what have you learned about like how to then keep walking with them and keep showing them?
Yeah, that's a great question. Yeah, I think, you know, first thoughts were like, I came with such a like, let me teach you thing, but I realized that like, even though this person is not a believer, I have so much to learn from them. And like learning from people creates a relational equity. If you don't, every Baba, priest, and doodad, whatever other names you're going to call them that won't make sense here, they all have something to say. You know, everybody's got something that you need to do in order to be saved. And when you just kind of come out of nowhere, the gospel's power. It's powerful. Like you just preach that message, God will do something with it. But he also made us like relational beings, and that took a while for me to really like get a hold of, you know. And I think at times in feeling inadequate, or like I'm not offering anything, I'm just here and like people are supporting what we're doing, but I'm not producing anything. And coming from like my origin of like understanding work was like, you bust it and you make it happen. And so then I'm there and I'm like, I'm sitting at a desk and, you know, going into market and buying vegetables like a baby, you know, and like babbling through language and you know, sucking at it and for like hours and hours.
And that's your full-time job.
Yeah. So like, I think I kind of lost my train of thought, but learning from people, and then I guess like when you disciple, when you disciple unbeliever, like everyone comes from such a different background. So, you know, somebody might have had some exposure to this, somebody might, you know, there's so many, again, when people ask anything about India, I'm like, well, it depends on where you're standing. Because 20 feet that way, it's a whole different ballgame. That bro might have a Lamborghini. Over here, this guy probably don't have rice for today. You know, 20 yards away or less, you know? So it's like, totally depends on who you're with, how you're talking, or, you know. So, but I mean, in the end, it comes back to like really looking to build a healthy church. And just like where people are doing it to and with each other. It's just this formation together. And Leslie Newbegin talked about, he was there like a long time ago, and he was saying that the only way to, in response to God and all we have in Christianity, all we have in the Bible revealed to us, is to live it out with each other. The proper hermeneutic for us, like how we can make sense of everything we've been given in Christ, is to just live it together. And that's kind of really what we've seen as the crowning jewel of what we have to offer this place. Is like, I've got a thriving little group of people that are fully maturing little by little. And it's like, that's really the treasure. And what does the whole thing, you know, just a church.
That's
good.
so beautiful. I feel like you can get lost in like strategy and schemes and like what will work well, what will be practical, what will be like whatever. And there's probably a time and place for some of that. But I think that's so beautiful to just be like, no, like the Lord builds his church. That's how he has done it, and that's how he'll keep doing it. And I love that y'all have seen so much beauty and find so much joy in that. So tell us more about you guys call it a house fellowship, house church, a little bit of both. Okay, tell us about your house church.
It's a mix. We love it. Has been, so we started it in 2021. Yes. And it has been seasons for sure of like in and out, different people transitioning, whatever. But there has been just a good core group of us pretty much from the beginning. And I feel like we've just recently hit a stride with, maybe it is more intentionality within like men and women's groups. And we just recently did like a marriage discipleship class type thing. I think a lot of it boils down to the life that we do together, and kind of like what Jake was saying, you can't, and the point you were just making, you can just put all the focus and attention on curriculum, on how we can make sure they are like theologically sound and that which is all good and right in its place, as you said, like it has a place, there is a place for that. But if people don't feel loved and known and cared for and showed up for and prayed for and followed up with, like, what is the point of that theology if it doesn't actually have any relational weight or offer you anything except for come sit down at this class with me for an hour, see you next week, you know? Yeah. And especially so many people who become believers and they leave their Hindu families and their Muslim families, like they're typically wrestling for a year or two, maybe more, about becoming a believer, because it means that they lose their family, they lose their culture, they lose everything for the most part. And so once you're bought in, you know, there is this one expectation that they have and a responsibility that falls on the church to become their family and their people and their everything, because they've lost so much to follow Jesus. And so I really feel like our house fellowship just feels like a family, and we do a lot of life together, and there's a lot of a lot of wrestling, you know, a lot of issues, like church is people. And so it's hard and it's a lot, but I really love the way I feel like we can function in a lot of those New Testament one another's with the size that we are and the way we're able to do life together.
Yeah, I love that. We talk a lot about church as a family. That's like really core to who we are as a church. Yeah. And I see you guys living that out. And one of the things we say a lot is like we fight for relational health. And I see you guys doing that with your people. Like I know that you have had to like fight, and you've had to have some like brutal conversations, and it's been hard, but that is how people are transformed. Like you guys are looking more and more like Jesus through all of that, and they're looking more and more like Jesus through all of that. And it's so beautiful. And that specifically is such a light where you guys are, because tell me if I'm wrong, you guys know more about it, but from my 10 days there, it was so vivid. It was like, seemed to me, and you guys have talked about that, it is like really normal to just like be done with you and lie to you, and like there's very little category for fighting for relational health, or even like honoring someone who's not like you, or like not in the same caste like level as you. So all that you guys are doing just by like being a family with your house church is radically different than everyone else around you. Is that right?
Yes, I would definitely say that.
Yeah, I love that. Okay, so I think the house church is one of the like main things you guys are doing. That's like a huge part of your ministry there. You talked a little bit about the school and talk a little bit more, Jake, about how that has been really redemptive for you to like bring a good product to your city and make your city better, and be able to, with a clean conscience, like write on your paperwork what you're doing in this place and why you're there, versus a more traditional strategy of just lying all the time. Like a lot of missionaries do just say like they have to deceive a little bit and out of protection about why they're there, and over time that messes with your head. So talk a little bit about your journey of like going from having to kind of lie about why you're there to now being able to offer a product to your city that you're proud of and that is redeeming your city.
Yeah. Yeah, I think for me, it kind of began as I was going through seminary. This confidence that like there's no place or fabric of existence or of society where it's not my home turf. So like what I mean by that is God wants to is redeeming all of creation. And what it means to be human is to be tethered to him, or powered by him, like that garden. When you look back at that, like paragon, the paradigm, they in Genesis 1:28, God, that's the first really great commission or cultural mandate or whatever language you want to call it. It starts there, not really Matthew 28. So like this idea of going and bringing this good rule everywhere. And there's just so many areas in the society, in our city, in the country that we work in, where there's just so much not right, and so to be able to bring something that's really great can play that key role in bringing about a physical reality of what is spiritual. So our school is totally secular, but it's also not by my opinion, but by the opinions of the people that have the right to say such. It is the world-class, like best education that exists in the world. And so seeing people be like, oh yeah, snap, this is like coming through immigration. Someone on our team recently, they were like, so this is what you do here? This is incredible.
Wow.
Yeah, like when you come back, make sure this is on your visa, and you need to, this is incredible. Like, whereas before it's kind of like, okay, I need to make sure that and now you just have this more robust confidence of like, the other day it happened. One of the parents at our school was like, so I just don't get the drive. Like, why would you want to do this? I would never go to the next country over and do this. Like, it's ridiculous. And I'm telling him, like, it's because I love you. And it's because Jesus Christ is the Lord. He is the King of the universe. And I believe that I'm like his representative, like fully. And so doing this is the only thing that makes sense in light of all that's true. And
it
it's
was
so
just
organic.
Hindu parents who were like,
and it's
asking.
organic.
Wow.
It's like not weird.
Yes.
I mean, it's hard when you share the gospel with people. I was in the gym this morning with a guy, and I was like, man, Lord, I don't want to do this right now. And you awkwardly approach them, and I'm all for that. And I did the thing anyways. Like sometimes it's like that. But the what I found is the best is like getting to really brush shoulders, talk with each other. I
Have a
tracked off a little bit
relationship,
there, but
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, and I think like all the people that are seeing your product, seeing the like light that your school is in a really dark place, now you have such like favor with them potentially.
100%.
Like if they're receiving that good thing, their child is getting an education. Like now when you talk about Jesus, I feel like there's just such a greater chance of it all connecting for them because they've like been loved. They've seen the redemption. They've seen the good. They've seen, just how you're redeeming that city, and it's just crazy to think about like the way that like your work there is like a little like drop in what is going to happen in eternity, and like you're sowing into like the realest, truest, most lasting like reality ever.
Right.
This is so beautiful. So
Right.
your house fellowship is a huge part of what you're doing there. Your school is a huge part of what you're doing there. And tell us a little bit about the pastors fellowship, the network of pastors that you guys pour into and equip.
Want me to?
yeah.
Okay. That was originally going to be his question and answer. So it's actually really cool because 3 of the 5-6 pastors that we have in our fellowship, I met on that trip.
Oh, wow.
When I was traveling when I was 17. So the full circle-ness of that is just amazing.
Yeah.
So a lot of history with a lot of these guys, and then 2 of them we've known since 2018, so the past 8 years. And then our most recent pastor that joined, Jake actually met on like an online seminary class, and Jake saw that he was Indian and was just like, I'm going to connect with him.
That's awesome.
And
But he was in St. Louis.
But he was in St. Louis, like at Covenant in person.
And they're the ones that moved to India to partner with you guys, right? Yeah.
And so Jake like approached him, and basically they were praying about going to 3 other locations in India. So Jake said, put our city on the map and pray about it. Except it's just the Lord that they came, because the other 3 places they were praying through, it was a job for him and his wife, salary in a nicer city.
So much better.
And we were like, so you have to raise your own support and
Come to this not ideal place.
come to this much harder city.
Yeah.
And the Lord led them through so many different connections and just signs they couldn't avoid that like this was their place.
Wow.
And they live on the floor above us. We are like, see them every day. They are the greatest gift of God to us, and they're amazing. So that's also been so awesome that they've joined our team. But yeah, the Pastors Fellowship, our main desire for them is just equipping them with resources. It's really actually not even the most important thing for us for them is like, are you healthy? Is your marriage good? How is your relationship with your children? How is your heart? How are you with the Lord? Like, so because the need in India is so vast, so many people come and do ministry and they're just like, the lost, everyone's lost, everyone's an orphan, everyone's starving, and so you can lose sight of remaining healthy in Jesus because there's so much work to do.
Yeah.
And so we see that a lot in a lot of other organizations and a lot of other ministries, and our main heart has been like, if we stay small with a few pastors for 50 years, but they're all healthy and they all are producing healthy people within their churches, within their businesses, then like that's a win. So that is really our heart for them. We have annual pastors retreats where them and their wives and their kids come for like 5 days, and it's typically a hotel with a pool or at the beach, and it's just fun, fellowship, prayer, a little bit of teaching, but just a lot of life together, ministry together. It's like our favorite week of everybody's favorite week of the year.
Yeah.
It is amazing.
Yeah.
And then there is Bible trainings and resourcing and
Preaching workshops.
workshops.
Because these guys aren't like going to seminary.
No.
Some of them have, some of them are, they have like a BTH or something.
Okay.
Yeah.
But really, yeah.
But not from the most.
Yeah, the preaching workshops are awesome.
places,
Like
yeah.
a Charles Simeon Trust, if anybody's ever heard of that, like, man, that single-handedly will help form you in a way where you can really preach the Bible.
Oh, wow.
And it's just like worksheets, and you got to do it with other guys or women, and
Cool.
it's amazing.
Okay.
Yeah, and that and then Bible pathways.
Yeah,
Yes.
I was going to ask, is that, I know you guys have gone through Bible Pathways with some of those pastors.
Yeah,
Are
all
those
of them.
connected or with all of them? Okay.
Yeah.
Tell someone that doesn't know what Bible Pathways is, like a snapshot of what that is.
If anyone wants to be a part of a short-term trip and do something incredible, anywhere, they're all over the world.
Yeah.
But they're blowing up in India.
Wow.
I mean,
Yeah.
where we are.
And we're really close. Like Jake's mentor is the guy who's like heading up all of India Bible Pathways.
That's incredible.
And I think it was more impactful than a whole seminary degree.
Wow.
It was like without a doubt.
Yeah.
And it's really simple. It's like a person with a doctorate and a person who can barely read will both be equally challenged and transformed.
Wow.
It's super simple, but it's really incredible. One of the best things I've ever been a part of in my life
Yeah.
are those preaching workshops.
Yeah, I could
they're
totally see
amazing.
that. That was one of my favorite days of when I visited you guys was
Yeah,
we got
you
to
did.
go to the Bible Pathways class, and it was just mind-blowing to see like, okay, here's this pastor who is pastoring in the biggest red light district in the world.
Yeah.
I'm watching him learn how to understand and like accurately handle God's word, and I know where he's going to take that back to, and seeing those like teenage boys that were in there
Yes.
getting the same thing, and our like friends from your guys' fellowship, and it was just insane to watch that happening in real time. So that is a really cool ministry that they're bringing that to places all over the world, because it is so dangerous for someone to come to know Jesus and to become a pastor in your city, but if they don't know how to rightly handle the word of God, then that leads to a lot of confusion, I imagine.
And we just have endless stories.
And you've seen it happen.
Yeah.
Okay, you guys said something that made me want to ask this question about, so a lot of, because the need there is so great, and like, I could just go on forever and ever.
As you have before.
It is like truly mind-blowing. I don't even have the words to like articulate how great the need is.
Yeah.
You guys have lived in that for the last 10 years. How do you endure seeing that? How do you guys stay healthy? How are you guys making sure like you're sustainable what you're doing?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's a big question.
Yeah, for me, I've had like this life verse where, like, some Greeks are seeking Jesus, and Jesus is like, okay, it's time. And he says to them, unless a grain of wheat falls into the earth and dies, it remains alone. But if it dies, it bears much fruit. And then he goes on further. And that's been a good verse for me. Seeing how I know there's a lot of death involved here, but there's an outcome where it's an 80, whatever the yield is for the wheat, it's like 80 to 100 fold. Like there's gonna be people, and we see them. It's not a whole lot, but it's quality. It's quality results that we see in people's hearts. And they're doing the same thing. And so I just can remember, and then the promise with that there too is that Jesus is saying, where I am, there my servant will be also. That's great.
Yeah.
Like I'm going to be with Jesus. And that's it. I just want this centered life where if I can have the presence of God, I'm okay. Like I'm more than okay. And I, like she was asking me when we were driving we were listening to John Denver, Comfy Roads. Country roads.
Comfy roads.
They are comfy compared to some other roads.
Country roads. I'm not even sure if it was John Denver, whatever. But she's asking me like, how are you feeling about going back and stuff? I'm like, and I started singing this song, like it's where I belong. Yeah. Like it's where I'm supposed to be,
Wow.
Yeah.
And so that would be my answer.
Yeah.
John 12. That. It's a great verse. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the enduring over the years, I wrestle a lot more frequently than he does with the call, with living where we live.
The cost.
Such a cost is I'm wrestling with it much more frequently than he is.
Share the Esther thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, share that.
I can't remember if I've even shared this with you yet. The Esther.
Did.
Okay. So kind of like mid 2025 all the way up until March of this year, it was really when we were starting the school and I was realizing, oh my gosh, we have already been here almost 10 years, and now we are starting the thing that is going to require another probably 5 to 10 years of us. Wait, most people who have been here this long are like, completely preparing to leave. Or like we have like our closest friends who have been our best friends, like our family for the past 8 years, are leaving this summer. We already had 2 of our closest friends we've known the last 8 years leave at the beginning of this year. And we're like starting this new thing, And so I have just been kind of throwing a pity party that God was really kind, allowing me to wrestle, allowing me to grieve, allowing me to just count the cost again, with him and sit with this reality. And then it was almost like this line was drawn in March, and we were...
Before you keep going, share, for someone who has no context.
Okay.
Like, share a little bit about what that cost is. Like, what's hard to leave here? Like, what's hard about life there?
It was always hard, and then we had kids. And so there was a part of me definitely before we had children that was like, we can do anything. I'll go anywhere. Whatever.
You guys have always been wild and hardcore and just like if anybody's made for this, it's you guys. So, like, yes, like, you guys can, like, sleep anywhere, eat anything, not shower. Like, you're just made for a different type of life. But then you have kids.
Yes, and then we have kids, and I'm like, whoa, family, grandparents, cousins. Yeah. Like, really, family is the hardest part. Like, I get here, and I'm like, but again, with the house and the yard, and it's like I want my kids to have a yard. I want them to grow up on Lake Lanier like I grew up on Lake Lanier. I want them to know my parents well. I want them to see my best friend's kids that are like their cousins all the time. Like, and to see how they are when they're here, and the amount of friends, they're just like two social butterflies and so the life that I've had to wrestle a lot with, the life my flesh believes is best for them, is not the life I am giving them, but in the spirit is the best life I can offer them. And so that revelation is tied to kind of this March experience. Did that answer the cost question? Because for me, it really is mostly family, you know. But in March, I'm still in my, like, kind of in and out of my pity party. You know, I'll get, like, a worship song that really, you know, helps me see the worthiness of God and the cost, and I'll get refreshed for a day, and then I'll kind of sleep back into, you know, so I'm in and out. But then we were on a weekend trip for our anniversary, and the verse of the day that day was out of Esther, when Nehemiah's talking to Esther, and he's like, listen, you can be a part of God redeeming and saving his people, or you can choose not to be, and he will provide another way for their salvation, but maybe you were born for such a time as this. So we chatted that morning a bit about that verse, and how just like Nehemiah's confidence in God's salvation was so beautiful, and the cost for Esther, whatever. Then later in the day, we're listening to a podcast, and the pastor we're listening to verbatim brings up that same verse, but a little bit more in context to the church's invitation to partner with God to bring the kingdom. And I feel like the podcast just stopped, and the Lord was like, Emily, you can leave. Like, you can leave.
Yeah, I'm not making you stay.
Your hands are not tied behind your back. Like, but I have invited you to partner with me. I am going to bring my kingdom to this city, and you can do it with me or not. You can go home if you want to go home. And it was this like, whoa, hold on. You know, just like humbling. I remember my immediate first feeling was, what an honor we get to do this. Like, it was just this like, no one else is called to India. No one else is partnering with God to bring the kingdom to this dark city. Why did he choose us? Why am I, you know? And then he just kind of flipped the script pretty immediately in that moment of like, raising my kids here. I genuinely now, after wrestling and just like sitting with the Lord in this new revelation, believe the greatest joy and adventure in life is partnering with God to bring his kingdom wherever he calls you to bring it, because he's bringing it.
Yes.
He is bringing it. And so, and the invitation is out there for every believer to grab hold of the partnership to advance the kingdom, because he's doing it, and you can join in or not.
Yeah.
And so it was just this huge humbling of like, okay, Emily, you can have your pity party in the flesh, and not in this weird, like, pick yourself up from your bootstraps and come on, you know, but it was just this, like, good reality check for me of, like,
make a choice.
In the spirit, see the life you're getting to live, and how you get to show your kids. We all are tempted to believe this American dream and this life we could have in America is by far the better life. But partnering with God in obedience to bring his kingdom here is the greatest life we could ever ask for.
Doesn't mean you can't partner with God here in the American dream.
Of course.
Every
Just to
believer,
clarify.
You're saying.
but like,
Just to clarify.
yes, but like our specific invitation
Yeah.
is to bring it in our city.
True.
Where, and like getting to show our kids that is the greater life.
Yeah.
And genuinely feeling in my soul for every believer in Ottawa and in Chattanooga,
Yeah.
like that you have that invitation to
Yes.
bring the kingdom right here.
Yes.
And like do it.
Yeah.
Because it's the greatest joy and adventure you'll ever do. You know,
Yeah.
it's greater than any other thing you could say yes to.
Mm-hmm.
And that has really been a very enduring, like
Yeah.
grounding thing of like, he's bringing his kingdom. I am not bringing his kingdom.
Mm-hmm.
It is not my job to end the poverty and
Yeah.
to, you know, cure all the disease and the
Mm-hmm.
sickness and the Hinduism, but like I can do what he's called me to do and the little bit that my part is, and trust he's bringing his kingdom in a million other ways.
Yep.
Through a ton of other people,
Mm-hmm.
and just trusting his sovereignty and his goodness when you really can't see it.
Yeah, yeah, that's beautiful. I love that. So part of you guys coming on Sunday and part of us continuing to get to know you here is we're hoping to invite our church family to support you guys in prayer primarily, but if anyone feels led to support you financially, we're inviting them to do that as well. And everyone will get those cards on Sunday. But tell us a little bit about, because it is a dark, difficult place, and the Lord is like sustaining you guys and he's helping you endure. But from like our perspective, what is something that people in America, your supporters, can do that like is actually helpful? Like,
Yeah.
how do you guys feel supported when you're over there in the midst of that work? What feels like it's encouraging to you and helpful to you?
Yeah, maybe being engaged with the updates.
Mm-hmm.
We don't send them out like every single month or whatever, but reading them and like considering them.
Yeah.
You know, like
Yeah.
staying in touch and be remembered
Mm-hmm.
and prayed for.
Does that come from, is it tempting to feel like
Yeah.
people are not in the loop with what you're doing, or it doesn't matter to them or whatever?
When
Yeah.
you have conversations with people and they ask you questions that you just wrote about.
In the update, and you're like,
Like-
okay, didn't
Yes.
read that one.
Which
Everybody
again,
loves that feeling.
I'm doing it to whoever else is writing a newsletter.
Yes,
you know,
yes.
my pastor writes a newsletter. I ain't read that thing all like 2 years. You know? So I mean,
But it's nice. Yeah, it feels good to know
Yeah.
people care enough about what you're doing,
Yeah.
enough about you to like be engaged with what you're up to.
but we all have a bandwidth. We all have
For
our
sure.
own limitations.
For
Like,
sure.
you know, I know what it's like to feel like, dude, I don't have time to look at anything except this Bible for a couple seconds this
Yes.
morning.
Yeah.
So I get it, but
Yeah.
and then I would say maybe more importantly, like just be at your church, like be there with the people, with your group of people, and you know you're gonna wind up benefiting and growing in a way that ultimately affects like the gospel reaching the ends of the earth.
Yeah,
you know, like
right.
somehow
I love
you'll
that.
be a part of it. So just be faithful at Two Rivers.
Yep.
Yeah, I think too, we were chatting about that. There was like a million answers we could have had to this question as we were chatting about it in the car on the way. But really just like boiling it back down to like, take your relationship with Jesus seriously and like give him space to like change your heart and what you care about and what, you know, it's like, you're going to love to pray for us and to keep updated with how God's kingdom is coming in our city, the closer you are to Jesus. Because like, you know, like the closer you are to someone, the more you catch their heart, their cares, their desires. And so we could come up with this list of like, the best supporter does these things, you know, and it's like, yeah, but we want it to flow from a heart that like God is doing that work and putting that care
Yeah.
in you
Yeah.
to care and
Yeah.
to pray because you
Not
care.
making it a checklist.
Yes.
I did the right thing. I sent the money.
Right.
I said the prayer. You want it to
Yes.
flow from.
And again,
love.
a lot of people
Yeah.
only have the bandwidth to like do an automatic monthly donation that you're never thinking about it.
Yeah.
And you walk by your fridge and see our prayer card and throw up a prayer for
Yeah.
it, you know, and it's like great.
That-
You know.
play your part.
Yeah.
You know, like
Yeah.
we're all doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just play your part.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know?
Because God cares about India. Like,
Yeah.
I know that that's like so basic and elementary, but for me, like I will get caught up in just like my life here in my world. And like he's called me to things here. And so part
Yeah.
of that is like good and right.
Right.
But it's just so good for me to remember like the world is huge. And there are people in nations like India who have never, ever, 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 ever heard the gospel and
Right.
won't
Yep.
unless people are sent there and
Yep.
go there and answer the call.
Yes.
And so I'm praying for you guys because because that's what God does. Like he sends people, and how beautiful are the feet of those who bring the good news. Like you guys are there bringing the kingdom, bringing the good news, and are such a light in a really dark place. And so it is such a joy to pray for you guys. And so that's what I invite our church family into, is like put that card on your fridge and genuinely pray for them. Like lift them up, protect them in prayer. Like the spiritual warfare, darkness and evil there is unlike anything I've seen. And so like you guys need prayer.
Yeah, definitely.
And so I know that every single prayer that is prayed for you guys, like the Lord hears, and he's doing something, and he's so faithful to answer. All right, any closing thoughts? Anything that you were like, I really wanted to share that, she never asked me, or this has to be said?
Maybe in Hindi, जो कोई मेरी सेवा करे मेरा पिता उसका आदर करेगा. So whoever serves me, from that John passage, whoever serves me, the Father will honor him. You know?
Yeah,
so
I love that. That's good. What about you, Emily? Anything?
That's it.
All right. Well, thank you guys.
Thanks, Maggie.
Such a joy
Thank
for everybody
you,
to get a little glimpse into all the things I love about you guys. Thanks for listening, everybody, and we'll be back next week.